Hi, my name is Dr. Harris Meyer. I've been a wellness doctor and chiropractor since 1995. During that time, I've taught and worked with my patients nutritionally. What I'm about to share with you right now is very important information that can potentially save lives. So thank you for listening in, and let's get started off with a simple question. Did you know that almost 1 out of 4 people in America are either diabetic or pre-diabetic? Well, according to the CDC, 57 million Americans are pre-diabetic and 24 million are fully diabetic. This disease doesn't generate fear because it can simmer for years, during that time damaging the heart, kidneys, eyes, and other organs, and it often only surfaces in middle age. These conditions are accepted by many doctors as a simple part of the aging process. People are usually diabetic for years before actually being diagnosed. There should truly be an outcry because in the next 24 hours alone, 2,200 people will be diagnosed with diabetes. More than 500 of them will die from it, and almost 220 will go blind or have an amputation. And there are more complications, including heart disease, high blood pressure, nervous system damage, liver disease, and Alzheimer's. So why is there an epidemic of diabetes? While there is a genetic component to diabetes, people do have full control as to whether they get it or not by the choices they make in their diet and exercise. The core problem has to do with people's eating habits and its consequences, which include excessive weight, and especially abdominal fat, lack of nutrients as people eat junk and processed foods, and lack of exercise. You can see how our food habits have changed over time with just sugar and grain consumption. Almost a 40-fold increase in sugar alone. Wondering where all the sugar is coming from? Well, here's a clue. Just look at the typical foods people eat, and you'll see they all have high carbohydrate content, which can be as unhealthy as refined sugar if overeaten. Bad food habits induce stresses to the human body that promote all kinds of diseases. Junk food will increase consumption of refined sugar, also sodium and saturated fat, while reducing consumption of vegetables, fiber, key minerals, omega-3 fats, vitamins, antioxidants, and beneficial probiotic bacteria. The other side of the coin is the increase in portion size and calorie intake since the 1970s. Portion sizes were about half what they are today. How have our eating habits affected us? Look at our weight 20 years ago. No state had a high obesity rate, and most were less than 10%. Today, no state has an obesity rate lower than 10%, and most of them are over 25%. In addition, our healthcare system is not promoting prevention. We're waiting for disease conditions to set in, and then we manage the disease. This is why experts are predicting that America will go bankrupt from healthcare costs. We're already seeing the effect of a disease care system on companies and on individuals. The status quo is not sustainable, especially when the CDC is predicting that if nothing changes, out of all infants born today, 1 out of every 3 will become diabetic as adults in the future. The bad news, no silver bullet to solve this problem. The good news is that diabetes is preventable. Let's analyze the progression of diabetes. As we said, for most people it starts with bad eating habits that result in excess weight and nutritional deficiencies. Over time, this leads to insulin resistance, where people start noticing high levels of blood glucose resulting from defects in insulin production and receptor sensitivity that causes sugar to build up in the body. In conjunction with these changes, people start noticing elevated lipid levels, such as triglycerides and LDL cholesterol. However, years before people are diagnosed with diabetes, they're in a pre-diabetic zone. But what is crazy with our healthcare system is that the typical physician will monitor elevated blood sugar levels and wait for people to become diabetic, and then begin giving them medication. What's not explained is that for about 90% of people who do go on conventional care and diabetes medicines, the complications are not prevented. So what is conventional care for diabetes and prediabetes? Some will be prescribed high blood pressure medications and/or statin drugs. Once diabetic, people are put on certain diabetic medication and recommended an eating plan that's typically useless and in fact can be dangerous for people with diabetes. These steps don't get the condition under control. Less than 12% of diabetics being treated with medication have their blood pressure, blood sugars, and cholesterol being controlled properly. The simplest way to beat this disease is to prevent it. This was proven in a landmark study in 2001 that showed prediabetes can be prevented from becoming diabetes with weight management, correct eating habits, and regular exercise. The easiest way to determine if you are prediabetic is to answer a questionnaire that's available with this presentation that will highlight your probability of prediabetes. So how can prediabetes reversal be accomplished? Well, first, we need to get rid of abdominal fat, as that drives metabolic syndrome. People will then see immediate changes as damaging inflammatory chemicals released by fat cells begin to be reduced. People also need to have healthy food habits, optimally eating 3 times a day, eating fruits, vegetables, and fiber in combination with protein, which gives the body crucial amino acids that are needed to build muscle mass instead of fat. Also minimizing junk food, which is void of nutrients. The nutritional deficiencies are really important because people who are pre-diabetic are deficient in zinc, chromium, magnesium, and they're low in essential fatty acids. Exercise is always recommended, even if it's just walking for 20 minutes a day. To make all of this possible, a structured system needs to be used. My system works like this. I have people eat according to a meal plan that puts their body into a biochemical state to burn excess fat, especially that abdominal fat, while not having any hunger. In between meals, a nutritional snack is taken to prevent any cravings, as people are going to be on an elimination diet. There will be one program for men and a different one for women. 7 different meal plans are provided so that there are 7 different suggested breakfasts, lunches, and dinners, and that way people don't get bored with what they're eating. If the suggestion of 60 grams of beef or 35 grams of spinach for dinner doesn't suit your fancy, you'll have a simple way of substituting the protein or the carbs as shown right here. A 4-page symptoms questionnaire is completed before this eating plan is started, and that same questionnaire is completed at the end of 3 weeks. Here are the 14 health conditions that we'll be evaluating. The results of the questionnaire may show 4 severe, 6 moderate, and 4 mild conditions. However, the challenge is to know the root cause of the symptoms, as they could be due to bad food habits, excessive weight, nutritional deficiencies, or a chronic condition. But as you go on to an elimination diet and you lose excess fat, the changes in the responses to that same questionnaire 3 weeks later can give great insight as to the root cause of your symptoms. The new results may now change to only 1 severe, 2 moderate, and 4 mild conditions. To a trained specialist, this provides a wonderful insight into the root cause of your symptoms and a roadmap on steps needed to prevent diabetes and promote wellness. All of this information will be provided and explained at the end of 3 weeks, where an action plan is provided to cover abdominal fat status and how much more weight needs to be lost, blood sugar support needs if unhealthy eating habits are resumed, existence of potential food sensitivities or allergies that may need addressing, the possibility of chronic conditions needing attention, correcting nutritional deficiencies to prevent chronic conditions from developing, and a host of other important wellness markers that will be explained at that meeting. If these wellness markers are ignored, over time they will become disease conditions. A great example of this is diabetes that is costing America $174 billion a year because people are waiting to actually become diabetic instead of preventing it. So don't be the last one to jump on the prevention bandwagon. The greatest gift of health you can give yourself is to determine if you are pre-diabetic, and if so, take the required steps needed to reverse the condition before it's too late, and in the process experience weight loss, increased energy, better sleep, and overall wellness. So I want to say thank you again for listening in. To learn more about diabetes prevention and to take our free test, please contact my office at 415-956-3226 or find us on the web at www.bodyfocushealth.com. Have a great day.